AOC was on Anderson Cooper. We're not going to play the video because CBS is very uptight about that. But we will play the audio. And it's interesting. Like, this is just an example. Because Brenda and I were listening to this beforehand. And it struck me there was two options that AOC had in answering this question. And both are worthwhile, but it's interesting construction. But, let's just listen. This is Anderson Cooper giving her the, Green New Deal. What planet are you from type of questioning. Because they get very nervous with anything that is left of center.
Well, isn't his mom like Gloria Vanderbilt, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it makes sense.
Yeah, or just, he doesn't even need, Anderson Cooper's got a nice chunk of change himself. It is, the fear is not that they're going to, their wealth is going to be expropriated. The fear is just of there's just an uncomfortability, I think an inherent uncomfortability with any type of genuine leftist proposal. And this isn't even that radical, but that's the issue here.
You're talking about zero carbon emissions, no use of fossil fuels within 12 years?
That is the goal. It's ambitious. And
how is that possible? You're talking about everybody having to drive an electric car?
It's going to require a lot
Pause it.
of
Now, just think about this. The idea, first of all, we are inundated with stories about self-driving cars, right? The idea that Anderson Cooper would say to someone self-driving cars in 12 years, he would never say that. Technology, but the idea that we all have electric cars in 12 years, is that really that crazy of an idea?
I think we also can't get out of the paradigm where everyone drives around in cars all the time.
Well, yes.
This is going to require a major change to our infrastructure.
You're totally right, Jamie, but that even undermines even more how ludicrous that is. More people being in electric cars is the easiest part by far of any, the part that all businesses on board with, the part that there's R&D on, the part that we valorize in every form of media with Tesla, it's just bizarre.
Right. That is the most, I could say maybe certainly by 20 years. Does anybody think that there's going to be, that we're not going to be driving all electric cars in 20 years?
At
Maybe.
Least. And urban planning is going to be completely different.
What does he think? When Jerry Brown just signed all California's renewable, I think in 20 years is the target. What does he think that means? And Jerry Brown's an august, respected, centrist, governor. That's such a bizarre pull.
Now, if she had said, we're all going to be driving electric jetpacks, that would be crazy. No, but go on.
And
how is that possible? You're talking about everybody having to drive an electric car?
It's going to require a lot of rapid change that we don't even conceive as possible right now. What is the problem with trying to push our technological capacities to the furthest extent possible?
This would require, though, raising taxes.
There's an element where, people are going to have to start paying their fair share in taxes.
Do you have a specific on the tax rate?
You look at our tax rates back in the 60s, and when you have a progressive tax rate system, your tax rate, let's say from $0 to $75,000 may be 10% or 15%, etc. But once you get to the tippy tops, on your 10 millionth dollar, sometimes you see tax rates as high as 60 or 70%. That doesn't mean all $10 million are taxed at an extremely high rate, but it means that as you climb up this ladder, you should be contributing more.
What you are talking about is big.
Pause it. Now, I just want to say something. I don't want to be overly critical, but she's underselling it. The tax rate changed in 1963, I think, under Kennedy. And it was dropped. The top marginal tax rate was 90%. And it was dropped to 75% or so under Kennedy. And that 90% was not on the $10 million. In 1950s and early 1960s dollars, that would have been the top. That would have been $3 million. you get 3 million. And then every dollar after 3 million, this is in today's dollars, you pay 90 cents in taxes. So she was soft pedaling it.
Yeah.
But of course, to Anderson Cooper, who has been a news person for 20 some odd years, and I get it, we're all busy, okay? But you could just Google historical tax rates just for the heck of it and realize like what she's saying is a mainstream proposition, or at the very least, like, you know, this like like the astonishment that he registers. Like either he is acting or pretending or just like completely ignorant of like some of the more basic questions. Like if you get there and you're going to ask for a specific tax rate from a congressperson, which you never ask anybody, like, you know, you never ask that question. But if you're going to, you owe it to your viewers and frankly to your own self-respect to get a sense of what she's saying means in the context of American history, right? And he doesn't, but he responds like this, like flying cars and...
Well, by the way, do you know what FDR's threat was for the top marginal rate? Can anybody guess?
100%.
100%.
Total revolution,
completely
expropriate the ruling
confiscatory
class.
Yes. And so, all right, but continue on, because his mind is blown. She might as well have said to him, like, all right, here's the plan. Everybody's going to walk on stilts. Everybody, including pets. And we can train them. We can train the pets to walk on stilts.
At an extremely high rate, but it means that as you climb up this ladder, you should be contributing more.
What you are talking about, just big picture, is a radical agenda compared to the way politics is done right now.
Well, I think that it only has ever been radicals that have changed this country. Abraham Lincoln made the radical decision to sign the Emancipation Proclamation. Franklin Delano Roosevelt made the radical decision to embark on establishing programs like Social Security. That is radical.
Do you call yourself a radical?
Yeah, you know, if that's what radical means, call me a radical.
Now, here, you know, that was the part that Brenda and I were listening to, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I would have taken that tact. Because she could say like, well, you know, it's not radical in the context of American politics beyond like the past 25 years, 30 years. This country, you know, we're talking about 10% of the history of this country. That I can understand why she took that tact, but I can tell you that an hour later, CBS headline was Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, ... quote, call me a radical. You know, they're not going to like, no, it's not that big of a deal, but this is, you know, like there is a tremendous amount of forces that are arrayed to make her seem like she's some type of alien, some type of like, of dancing on roofs alien.
It's funny because apropos of this morning at 11:20 a.m., whoever runs Bernie's account, I think, was kind of indirectly responding to that, said, is it quote unquote radical to demand all Americans have health care, that billionaires pay their fair share of taxes and workers earn at least $15 an hour, and that we transform our energy system in order to combat climate change? I don't think so. And I don't shy away at all from the word radical, but I actually think it's effective, especially if you are a radical, to really keep pointing out that single-payer health care and a slight bump in the minimum wage and doing the bare minimum of what's scientifically necessary to deal with climate is moderate, obvious, shouldn't be controversial remotely.
Of course.
Yeah, I think it was a similar construction to what she said in the interview. Like, I don't think she was literally saying, I'm a radical.
No. I agree. There's two different constructions. One is like, the classic, if defining down what radical means, or the other is defining down what, what is. One is defining down what the term of radical is, and the other is attacking the concept that what she's proposing is radical. And so, it's just a choice. It probably didn't matter which one she chose. one way or another, they were going to try and make it seem like she's proposing, everybody's going to be on stilts. That's just the way it's going to work. And if not, then you're up against the wall. But Red State caught on a little bit. This is pretty funny. That we should have done this after the song.
You don't say.
But yesterday afternoon, they're like, attacks on Ocasio-Cortez are reaching self-defeating levels. Let me suggest this. One of the features of 2018 was the ascension of the right's favorite young upstart socialist defeating a longtime Democratic member of the House. And it goes on. But what was justified criticism over her early mistakes of showing off her ignorance is crossing into self-defeating pointlessness and gaining her defense from fair-minded conservatives. I would say not reaching self-defeating levels. I would say surpassing self-defeating levels. But I would say keep up the good work.